Hi, I'm Nick Grantham. I'm a CPA in Texas, and in today's video, we're diving into the IRS Form W-9. What is this? Why do I have to fill it out? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So, if you've ever been a freelancer, a contractor, a small business owner, a landlord, or really if you're getting any type of money, compensation from a company and it's not an employer of yours, you're not an employee, then you've probably seen these or you've been asked to fill one out. And we're hoping to make this very easy and painless because honestly, it is easy and painless. So don't be scared if someone's handing you this and you've never seen it before. We're here to help. It's important though that we do fill these out and fill them out correctly because if you get these wrong, it can create a backup withholding requirement where there is a 24% withholding that's done automatically by the payer. So it's important that these get filled out correctly without typos to make this to basically allow you to receive your compensation as easily as possible. Now, there are two big changes for 2026. In the past, if you had been paid $600 or more, it was required that a 1099 be sent to you. But with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, those reporting thresholds for 1099s, they've increased significantly. Now it's $2,000 or more. So that means starting with payments made after 2025, so really in 2026 and beyond, a company only has to issue you a 1099 if they pay you 2,000 or more during the year. So that threshold is going to be indexed with inflation moving forward. So that's great news. Because obviously $600 is a pretty low threshold that they used to use. And so that created more complexity for these small businesses. So this is a win for small businesses. Number two, there's a brand new checkbox in part two for digital asset brokers. Basically, there's a crypto or for crypto and digital asset platforms. If you're not in the crypto brokerage business, you can ignore it. But um, it is there now and it's visible, and that's just a new change. But without further ado, let's get into how to fill this thing out. So line one is pretty straightforward. That's going to be your name, or your business name, right? And so the big question here is a lot of people might wonder, well, which is it? Do I put my name? Do I put my business name? And what I would tell you is, unless you are a disregarded entity or like a DBA that files your business info as part of your 1040 tax return, your individual tax return, um, if that's your situation, then you're actually going to put your information. But if you're a business entity and you file a partnership tax return, or you're an S corp or C corp, in those situations, even a trust or a state, actually, in those situations, you would obviously put the business name or the entity name. So we'll go over a couple examples. Let's kind of pretend for starters that I have my own social media marketing business and I created an LLC. It's just me. I'm a single member LLC. So that means I will file my business info as part of my 1040 tax return. So then when someone's requesting a W-9, in step one, I'm going to put my name. And then in two, in box two there, where it says business name slash disregarded entity name, I can put my business name. So maybe it's social media um, LLC, some LLC that I created, right? So that's going to be where I put my business name. And then in 3A, um, this is where I'm going to select the entity type. So as you can see, there's an individual checkbox there. So that's pretty straightforward. If you're an individual, in this case, you would put your name on box one, you would skip box two, and then in box three, you'd check individual slash sole proprietor. Maybe in this case, I'm a disregarded entity. So I would put my name on box one, I'd put my LLC name on box two, and then on 3A, I'd be tempted to check the LLC box. But if you notice, there's a note that says, you want to check that LLC box and then select the appropriate IRS tax classification for C Corp, S Corp, or Partnership LLC. But if you're a disregarded entity, then a disregarded entity should instead check the appropriate box for the tax classification of its owner, right? So what this means is, me as the owner, I have my single member LLC, so therefore I'm going to actually check the box that says individual slash sole proprietor, because ultimately that's how my business reports its tax info. It's on my personal 1040. So that's important. A lot of people mess that part up for disregarded entity LLCs. Um, Now, another thing to point out, C Corp, S Corp partnership, specifically, these three statuses, these three entity types can be state entities. However, if it's an LLC, the LLC can be taxed in many different ways, right? So you can have an LLC that's a C corp, an LLC that's an S corp, an LLC that's a partnership. So if that's your situation, then be sure to check the LLC box, and then next to it, you would either write letter C, letter S, or P, depending on what type of LLC you are. Now, if you're a general partnership, if you're a limited partnership, if you're if you're incorporated, you're an Inc. with the state as opposed to an LLC, then that's when you would check maybe C corp, S corp, or partnership like we discussed. Um, if you have an irrevocable living trust, you may need to check the trust box, and so that's another example of 3A. Okay, 4, that's going to be exemptions. This is less common, and I would go as far as to say probably 95 or more percent of the people watching this video are going to skip step 4 entirely. Ultimately, this is going to be generally for certain entities like government agencies, tax exempt organizations, banks, and basically people that are exempt from the backup withholding or the FATCA reporting. So if you're like an individual, a sole proprietor, or any of these, small businesses we've been going over, then you're going to leave step 4 blank, and you're just going to skip over that. Okay, 5 and 6 is where you fill out the address. This is very important. You just want to make sure you don't have typos. You want to make sure you can get the mail at this location, because a 1099 will be mailed to this address most likely, and you want to make sure you get that in January or February when that comes in the mail. So that's very important. Um, 7 is optional. This is a space where the requester, can basically, most of the time you can leave this blank, but if a company specifically asked you to include like a vendor or customer number, then you could put that in step 7 there, in box 7. But that's, you know, 99 99 times out of 100 you'll skip box 7. Okay, part 1, tax ID number. This is a big piece of what they're looking for. It's your tax ID number. It's either your social or your EIN typically. Now, if you're an individual or a sole proprietor, then obviously you're going to use your social because you don't have an EIN most likely. Um, if you're a corporation, a partnership, a multi-member LLC, then that's when you would have an EIN, and that's instead of typing a social, you'd leave that blank and you'd put your EIN on part 1 there. Now, it's important to notate for single member LLC owners, people get tripped up here quite frequently. So even if your LLC has an EIN, so like, you may be running payroll for your single member LLC, which, as we spoke about earlier, is a disregarded entity. Even if you're running payroll, even if you have an EIN, the IRS wants your social, because that's ultimately the way that you report the business income and expenses. It gets reported on your personal 1040 tax return, which is under your social. So that's what we want to do. So in this video, I just want to stress, if you're a single member LLC, disregarded entity, a lot of people are set up this way. If you have a side gig, if you're a freelancer, if you're a small business. So box 1, your name. Box 2, you can put your single member LLC's name there if you'd like. 3A, you want to check individual slash sole proprietor. You want to add your address. And then in part 1, enter your social, not the EIN. So just important, a lot of people get that mixed up, and it can just create some complexities later, and we want to make sure this is done correctly from the jump. Okay, finally, part 2 is the certification. Ultimately, this is where you sign. You just want to, before you sign, you want to make sure there isn't a typo. Make sure the EIN or the social is correct. Make sure you're not subject to backup withholding, and obviously, like I said earlier, that's, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that that's not the case. So you would have skipped step 4 or box 4. You want to make sure you're a U.S. citizen or a U.S. person, and if you entered anything in box 4, like a code there, you want to make sure that's correct. But ultimately, just go over what you've entered, make sure that you don't have typos, and then sign this form. And ultimately, it's as simple as that. you would then submit this to the person paying you, your client, the payer, and then moving forward, they can usually start, you know, compensating you once this gets submitted to them. So, quick recap here. Take your time with this. Just make sure that you fill that out correctly. You don't have typos. You've checked the right boxes because mistakes here can cost you time. You know, don't put a DBA or nickname on line one. Always put your legal name on line one, right? If you're a sole proprietor and you have a DBA, don't put the DBA name there. Use your legal name. Don't check the LLC box if you're a single member LLC, right? Unless you've elected S corp status as a single member LLC. But if you're a single member LLC disregarded entity, then make sure to check that individual sole proprietor box. Um, don't put your EIN if you're a disregarded entity or a sole proprietor. Use your social. These are the big tips. And just also don't forget the new 1099 threshold is the $2,000, not 600. So that's great news. And so ultimately, we hope that this video helped to make it a little bit easier to go through this form. When you see an IRS form, even if it is easy like this one is, it can be a little bit intimidating. So if you do have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. We'd be happy to help. And again, thank you for tuning in.